Before this story begins, let me ask you something honestly. If you believe that real wisdom comes from real life, please like this story. And if you want more deep human stories like this, don't forget to subscribe. These stories are not just for entertainment, they are reminders. My name is Albert. I am 104 years old. A few months ago, I was sitting in a hospital room while a group of doctors stood around my bed, looking at my reports like I was some kind of mystery. One of them finally said, "Albert, medically speaking, you shouldn't be this healthy at your age." They laughed, but their eyes were serious. They asked me about my diet. I told them it's simple. They asked me about exercise. I told them I walk when I can. They asked me about genetics. I told them my parents died young. Then one doctor asked a different question. "How is your mind, Albert?" That question stayed with me, because the truth is my body is old, but my mind is peaceful, and that, I believe, is the real reason I'm still here. For most of my life, my mind was not peaceful at all. I worried about everything: money, status, mistakes, the future, other people's opinions. I replayed conversations in my head. I imagined problems that never happened. I carried stress like it was my responsibility. I thought that was normal. Everyone around me lived the same way. But stress doesn't just live in your head, it lives in your body. It tightens your chest, it shortens your breath, it steals your sleep, it slowly eats your energy without you noticing. I spent decades like that. Then life forced me to slow down. I lost my job, I lost my wife, I lost my strength, and one by one, I lost the ability to pretend I was in control. At first, I felt helpless. Then I felt honest. When you realize you cannot control much, something strange happens. You either panic or you surrender. I surrendered. I stopped fighting reality. I stopped asking, why me? I stopped trying to fix everything. And in that surrender, I found something better than control. I found acceptance. Acceptance of my body. Acceptance of my past. Acceptance of uncertainty. My mind became lighter. My breathing became slower. My sleep became deeper. The doctors call it low stress levels. I call it not carrying the world on my shoulders anymore. These days, I don't rush thoughts. I let them come and go. I don't argue with emotions. I let them exist. I don't force happiness. I allow peace. And peace is far more powerful than happiness. Happiness is a feeling. Peace is a state. Peace means you are okay even when things are not perfect. When you are young, you think stress means you care. You think worrying means you are responsible. You think overthinking means you are smart. But stress is just fear pretending to be useful. Fear of failure. Fear of being judged. Fear of not being enough. I carried those fears for 80 years. Now I carry nothing. That's my secret. Not a special food, not a strict routine, not a miracle medicine. I simply stopped poisoning my own mind. When the doctors looked shocked, I smiled and told them, "My body is old, but my thoughts are kind." They laughed again, but I meant it. Your thoughts shape your health more than you realize. They shape how you breathe, how you sleep, how you heal, how you age. You can eat perfectly and still die from stress. You can live simply and survive because of peace. At 104, I no longer wake up with fear. I wake up with curiosity. I ask, what can I enjoy today? Not, what can go wrong? That shift saved me. I am not special. I just learned late. And if there is one thing I want you to understand from my life, it is this. Your mind is either your home or your prison. After that day in the hospital, I went back home and sat in my old chair near the window. The doctor's words kept echoing in my mind, but not in a proud way, more in a quiet, thoughtful way. You shouldn't be this healthy at your age. I looked at my hands. They were thin, wrinkled, full of lines. They had built houses, held my children, wiped my wife's tears, and now they mostly just rested in my lap. These hands had lived many lives, and I realized something simple. They survived not because I pushed them, but because I finally stopped pushing myself. For so long, I treated life like a test, like I had to constantly prove that I deserved to exist, that I had to be productive to be valuable. That rest was weakness. Now I see how wrong that was. Rest is not weakness. Rest is respect. Respect for your body. Respect for your mind. Respect for the limited time you have. I used to feel guilty when I did nothing. Now I understand that doing nothing is sometimes the most honest thing you can do. Some days I just sit and breathe. I don't try to improve myself. I don't try to learn something new. I don't try to fix the world. I simply exist. And that existence feels more real than all my achievements combined. At this age, I have lost almost everyone who knew my younger self. There is a strange loneliness in that. It feels like being the last page of a book nobody else remembers reading. But instead of feeling sad, I feel grateful. Grateful that I loved. Grateful that I failed. Grateful that I tried. Most people are so afraid of making mistakes that they never truly live. I made plenty of mistakes, but I lived. Now when fear appears in my mind, I don't argue with it. I don't analyze it. I just smile at it like an old visitor who has nothing new to say. Fear loses power when you stop feeding it. I wish someone had told me earlier that calm is a skill, not a personality. You don't need to be born peaceful. You learn it by choosing what you no longer want to carry. I chose to let go of the need to be right, the need to be admired, the need to be busy. What remained was space, and in that space my health slowly improved. My blood pressure stabilized, my sleep deepened, my heart felt lighter. The doctors saw numbers. I felt freedom. Now when people ask me for advice, I don't give them big speeches. I tell them something very small. Don't turn every thought into a problem. Not every feeling needs fixing. Not every situation needs control. Not every worry deserves attention. Your body listens to your mind more than you think. When you live in tension, your body tightens. When you live in fear, your body weakens. When you live in peace, your body breathes. That's not philosophy. That's biology. At 104, I am not healthy because I tried to be strong. I am healthy because I allowed myself to be soft. Soft with my mistakes. Soft with my limitations. Soft with time. I finally stopped treating life like a battlefield, and life stopped treating me like an enemy. That is why the doctors were shocked, not because I discovered something new, but because I finally remembered something old: how to be gentle with myself. Ose wisely.